Hello. I don't think I've ever done a live stream on YouTube before. If y'all haven't lit up today yet, I've always dreamed of doing a weed tube. But I was like 14 years old when weed tubing really became a thing, which is hilarious. I'm like, let's do it. Smoke weed on YouTube and just like get paid for it. all the delightful opportunities that would have been absolutely astounding if that one thing would have lined up, Welcome to the interweb world. Wherever you're at, whatever you're exploring, wherever you're at physically, through interdimensionally, like tuning into this screen. Sup? I got a few videos on here, but they're like from 4 years ago. And it's one sec. All right. It's hot in here. I'm all trying to get comfortable. I'm like starting to sweat. I'm like, no, okay, it's too hot over here, not hot or cool enough over here. I had to open up some windows. But yeah, my last videos, I like doing this live thing. I've been doing the live videos on like Facebook for a long time, and I had 5 years or so, and it's just I don't seek the validation. I don't seek the approval. I love the outsource of my own like creative splurging, where I may be able to share some of what I'm going through or the struggles that I'm going through, and just share and get it out there. The more I get it out there, and the more I can reflect on it later. And like anybody who ends up clicking on it and is going through the same thing, it helps them too. So win-win. So that brings us to the topic of the video: win-wins. How to serve others truly. Like, we live in a world where there is so much distraction, where there's so much expectation, where there's so much disillusion, illusion, deceit, misinformation going around. And it can be strenuous learning how and trusting how to help and serve humanity in these confusing times, because my entire life I've wanted to be the overachiever and wanted to bring the money home and just make everybody happy in a sense by accomplishing everything that was set in front of me to accomplish. But I was forsaken so much of my own health, of my own like self-esteem, my own time, which time is so important. When you have no time, when you don't feel like you have any time, that's why I started smoking tobacco, is because it gave me an excuse just to sit and not run around from place to place. Still working on that. I still chief though. I believe medical marijuana is a scam. They should not be pharmaceutical or industrializing a plant. It should be literally just a house plant. It's legal. Just grow your own pot. But that is a fun little intro. Let's get back into like the actual focus of the video. Little two quotes that just synchronistically lined up with my video concept today. One of them is from Gibran, Khalil Gibran, and the quote says this: "The earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair." Simple. It is a quote. It was a quote that was referenced to the resemblance and like the symbology of Cernunnos, who is, mythologically speaking, depicted as Pan, or there's a lot of pseudonames for the same kind of like antler nature deity, which I've been learning a lot from the symbolism and meditations with. The second quote is, "Truth does not flourish where money is to be made." You're welcome to take what you want out of that, but I've also read quite a few books on Bushido, the history of Bushido, and the history of quite a few different cultural phenomenons, where during the transitionary periods from time, the Iron Age or whatever, to the Industrial Age, those of honor quickly realized that the art of what's the name that they use? The art of business has no honor in it. I have the book like right here, but yeah, okay, one sec. Just kidding, I got the book buried over there. But yeah, these samurai who were landowners, who were lords, who protected the peace of the land, who were given, these titles and these positions of authority because they earned them through merit in serving, and protecting their country and their countrymen and the peace of their country. And then it quickly went into the merchant age, the industrial age. Well, before that, the merchant age. And those of honorable classes, in a sense, were quickly uprooted and pushed aside. Identifying merchantry. I can't think of the name right now, but yeah, the art of business to be dishonorable and a game. and it's been that way for a long time. And the concept of money in general and a singular currency that is controlled and owned and by a singular group or small group of individuals has always been known to be dishonorable. When when the few when the few end up consuming more power and owning more power than the many, then there's always going to be imbalances. The aspect of cultural aspect of healthy societies in the past have always been settled around community winning, a singular organism winning mentality, meaning that we are all aspects and points of the same being expressing and experiencing itself at the same time. And so if you take from your brother to fill your own coffers, you're stealing from yourself. And there's been 2,000 or so years of this imbalance within nature, the natural ecosystem of the civilization of man, because there's been an imbalance of power, because people believe themselves to be separate, which means it leads them into selfish pursuits, concepts, and ways of life where they truly just they don't serve anything other than themselves. Hence the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the Bilderbergs, quite a few more, the Winstons, whatever. All these families nowadays that literally make up a very, very small group of individuals. Rather than part of an organism. We're all a singular organism, birthed from a singular source. A source has a long history back, but it's everywhere. We constantly reintegrate with source every single time we reincarnate or die and rebirth. We constantly integrate with source every single time we breathe, every single time we sit in silence. Source is all around us. It is the space in between the protons and neurons and electrons within the atoms that creates 90% of our universe. A physical universe. 99% of our physical universe. Because if you don't already know, nothing within this 3D dimension is really physical. It's just slowed down frequencies of sound to low enough or high enough density to form out of nothing. Without form, we would have nothing. Without nothing, we wouldn't have form. We need each other, and it's just like that concept that goes back with yin yang of it's like you can't demonize the white and you can't demonize the dark or the black, because they're both aspects of the same being, of the same entity. Black is not the opposite of white. Black is, or light. Black and darkness is basically the absence of light. It's the same spectrum, though. That's a whole other video, though. This is why I love these live videos. I love going on these cyclical debates. But back to focus. How do you win? How do you serve people? Within this reality, it's very easy for this question to be answered by just about anybody who wants to benefit from your focus and your willpower. And that doesn't always necessarily mean that you're helping people. A lot of the times in today's society, it truly means just enabling unhealthy concepts, personality traits, and lifestyles. If you're a builder and toxic trash into building a home for people, which is what we do, like over 60% of what we build houses out of now are either go through a toxic cycle of creation, which produces byproducts which are unhealthy, or they are literally the cultivation of synthetic material that is just unhealthy for humanity in general. Insulation, plastic. I mean, the particle board and plywood and all these things that are just literally just byproducts of an unhealthy, wasteful society that we're building our houses out of, which are just boxes of resembling our own box. Everybody wants to live in a box nowadays. I mean, have you seen Meet the Robinsons or something? Like, have you seen any of these like super playful, creative, youthful family movies that like they live in such a imaginative, creative community lifestyle house, like whatever, like they have so many stories that I personally enjoy have this reflection where they live in an absolutely independent, like creative original authentic house home lifestyle. And you look at like neighborhoods everywhere around the United States, and they all just look the same no matter where you go. There's no culture, and it's all just culture separating. Like so many people have a hard time keeping the culture in these styles of living and households, and just the disruption that is caused through this unanimous like micromanaging control of societal growth. Society should grow organically and should grow sovereignly amongst themselves. It shouldn't be growing through this forced agenda or these, big brother dependency systems or micromanaged, like neighborhood designs, like the red tape that is surrounding society on all levels, restricting us from creating, being, and living authentically is absolutely disgusting. And it doesn't do anything for anybody. So I'm going to go through what I've developed within my life and what I've come to understand to be true service in 9 different ways, separated into three groups. The first one is basically personalized, like for yourself, how to serve others by serving yourself, how to serve others by serving. The next 3 is how to serve others by serving your environment. And then the last 3 is how to serve yourself by serving others. So just 3 different perspectives to go by in serving. The first three are simple. Keep centered, stay centered, or discover your center if you don't know what that is. Your center is your eye of the storm. When everything's going to shit, when everything's going to chaos, what grounds you into that peaceful homeostasis of just acceptance and understanding of what's going on, and just peace and grounding. What brings you into your grounding, what holds you there. A lot of people nowadays, I would like to and sadly believe in the understanding that not many people truly feel or understand what it means to be centered. And I feel that's why a lot of us don't really know how to serve or go about our lives serving ourselves or others, because we've developed a mentality, a personality around, and a centering around serving others' idealisms. For example, serving my mom's idealistic uh, version of her own reality, which is very much colored within the projections, perceptions, and programs of the Keeping Up with the Joneses, basically, mentality and perception of today's modern age. And American dream is very colored in dream, and throughout my entire life witnessed the personal suffering that it has caused through devaluing of oneself and a devaluing of one's purpose, journey, and natural authenticity and flow. Through holding on to these concepts and perspectives and idealisms that don't truly serve us personally. And so what do we do? Recognize how to break away from that unserving perspective or that unserving style or lifestyle, how to break away from the program into yourself. Well, this is not exactly a fun journey, especially if you're attached to your programs. If you've identified yourself with the suffering your programs have induced and became comfortable in those levels of stress and those levels of anxiety or unnaturalness in your life. And then it becomes the Stockholm syndrome, when or a form of the Stockholm syndrome, when we literally, in order to survive and even thrive through our challenging times, we do something which is very silly in a sense. We learn to love our torture or our pain. We learn to become attached to and serve our misery through these attachments of our personas in our life, because that's we needed to. We were forced to at one point in our life to develop this survival mechanism. But if you're at the point now where you're really starting to like ask if what you've been taught is what is really good for you, and if it's true, and if you're beginning to like search and yearn for more fulfilling, wholesome ways of living that you've recognized you're not getting in your life with what you've been given, then it's a really good place to start to just space from everything. the more you resist, or through my experiences, the more I resisted giving myself this space I needed to go and travel and meet the people I needed to meet that had the answers that I needed to hear, because my parents didn't have it. I needed to break out of not only my bubble, but my family's bubble, the Colorado bubble, the United States bubble. I need to break out of all these bubbles so I can go extend my understanding from my comfort zone, in a sense. So my what I was known to discover something, discover a perspective from a different angle. There's a saying that says you can't recognize the forest for the trees, or you can't recognize the trees for the forest until you leave the forest. The forest for the trees until you leave the forest. And basically what that meant, it was in a song, and so I didn't really like write it down, quote, of it, but I didn't recognize what I had within my family because I was so close to them, in a sense. I didn't recognize what I had in my home because I was always in it, in a sense. So you don't recognize what you have until it's gone. And that doesn't mean this has to be like a terminal, like tragic, it's gone. But it may mean like it just give you like a little hint or intuition of like, yo, maybe if this is causing you harm, holding on to this, why not spend 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months doing something else and see where that leads you. Uh, Life has a beautiful way of bringing you back into a realization, and by reflecting to you your comfort zone, guiding you back into a true center, a realization through awareness of your divinity and the fact that that's what you are. Everybody has a reason to be happy, and just not everybody knows how. School didn't teach us how to be happy. School taught us how to download a bunch of information, be happy or be, it's not, school doesn't help people grow. School helps people acquire a bunch of knowledge, and that's it. It doesn't give you any time to develop that knowledge into wisdom or intelligence. It doesn't give you really any. It was designed back in a time, 1940 or 1830s. Our modern school system was designed in like 1836 for the intentional purpose of creating disciplinary factory workers, because that's what we were needing and that's what we were lacking. So it had a very strict, structured time schedule that we still go by today. That's very military-like. That's above all these other imprisoning structures that they have around us, and it hasn't evolved since. And so, me truly, like, I want to sue the entire United States educational system for robbing me of what you go to kindergarten when you're 5. Yeah, robbing me of what, 13 years of my life. I think I and everybody else deserve the at least uh, what is it, disclosure and apology through disclosure of the fact of how then in so many ways tries to point the finger at those individuals that they've wronged as if they're the menace of society, when literally it's society itself that's the menace. Yeah, geez, these topics and conversations just go into their own rabbit holes that pop out into everywhere else, like interconnected within everything. And so I apologize if like me describing a simple thing turns into me describing a lot of simple or a little complex things. I don't know. Thank you for your patience, like your focus and understanding, appreciation. I pray it's a little bit entertaining. So keep centered. Can't keep centered if you don't know that what center is. So if you can't keep centered, then you got to discover center. If you don't know, if you haven't discovered your center, then it most likely requires you to step out of your comfortability and out of your comfort zone, even just a little bit, to throw yourself off your groove. And through your intentions of paying attention to your heart through this transition, you can better acclimate and you can better, instead of just like a normal move with intention of like stepping out of your comfort zone, even if it's in just your life in simple ways, does wonders to really like spark new realizations within yourself and new awarenesses within yourself on how you feel about things. And awareness is the number one key towards transmutation. It is the number one key towards alchemical transmutation, which through the study of mythology, religion, sciences, and spirituality, alchemy is really, and all these stories are really designed to parabolically, symbolically describe to us the processes and the happenings of our body, of our divinity, of our temple, which is our physical body. And so, alchemical transmutation is not something that, yes, alchemy can be practiced on the outside with physical substances, but the practice of alchemical transmutation throughout history's past, and that's described in the Bible, the tarot, the Quran, or not tarot, Quran, the all the different types of Bibles, the Gnostic Bibles, the anywhere from spirituality to science, truly, mythology to legend, and a lot of the wisdom that we've been given and passed down, even if it's not intentionally or not, reflects aspects of our natural processes and happenings in a way similar to like astronomy, or astrology. I always get those confused sometimes. How you can literally read the story in the stars. How the stars and the symbolical aspects reflected within creation is constantly reflecting to you the omnipotent wisdom of the all. Yeah, so keep centered. Let's get through these. Stay organized. The more organized you are, I'm a bit of a hypocrite right now about this. I'm slightly organized. It's an organized messy, but I wouldn't say clean. It's just messy organization. The more organized you are in your household, in your space, in your in your life, the more organized you're going to be in your head, the more clean and flowing you're going to be in your head and your heart, the more you're going to be able to communicate without having those furry memories or like trying to pack for a trip during that day, but you can't really think very well because you have a whole bunch of dirty laundry over there. Kind of clouds your mind, so the more organized, the more on top of your own life you are, the more you're just going to shine for others. Win-win. Stay healthy. You're not helping anybody if you're not healthy. And no, modern American stereotypical um, understandings of health and wellness are very much lacking nowadays, which is why I don't know how many people you can meet that say, "Oh, we eat good food," but they're literally 40 to 100 pounds or so overweight. So it's like it's not just about food, and also a lot of eating good, tasty food. Tasty food isn't good food. It does not describe or define the quality of the food, how well it tastes. You can make, take a steak from, a cow that was basically held in a pen its entire life in the mud with no friends or anything, very sad and lonely existence. And you can take meat from a happy cow and you can make them both taste good. But unless you've actually tuned out of your the dependency of acquiring and the acquisition and understanding of the energetical sources, a lot of people don't recognize the difference between eating a steak that's full of carbs compared to a steak that's um, living in a nice green pasture with all of his friends and family his entire life. It's very similar to the leaving the comfort zone and leaving your home and leaving your forests in order to recognize what it is. You don't always recognize what you got, where you're at, or what the overall picture of things until you are able to look at it from a different perspective than what you're used to. And so if you were raised around, just for example, if you were raised on canned food most of your life and, Walmart steaks, just, the cheap Walmart steaks, like me, for a period of my life, you're still going to love those steaks and food because that's food, it's sustenance. It's all you got. It's all you've really been like, it's all I've was experienced. And so I didn't recognize a difference between the massive emotions I needed to constantly deal with by eating cortisol meat and, overly salted veggies with, less than a third of the nutritional value than even regular fresh veggies or, organically grown veggies. A lot of the aspects of my childhood diet were horrible. Uh, when time gets tough, it's easy to go to McDonald's. And I don't blame anybody for it, especially because of the lack of awareness around it at growing up and around the time, and acceptance of the awareness around the unhealthy aspects of this society and McDonald's and MSM and MSGs and, all these things. But I'm simply accepting the facts of what I've observed and experienced, and recognizing that I can eat, 5 Walmart cortisol filled steaks and still not be satisfied, but have a food coma and be processing anxiety and depression and, just a lot of heavy emotions for the next few days. And it just doesn't stop because if you constantly eat like that, you just get used to that level of stress in your life. And that level of stress in my life, being raised on that, created a lot of health conditions, mental, physical, emotional, of course. Like emotional really affected everything. Is emotional immediately affected my brain and my physical. My brain affected my physical, and then everything was a reflection of the health of my spiritual side because everything, people, the modern concept of today's age thinks that consciousness is uh, cultivated from material. Like that's a scientific that I was raised in, at least in school, and then that a lot of people accept still nowadays, that consciousness is birthed through from spirit when it's actually the opposite. Um, or consciousness is birthed through the physical when it's actually the opposite. Consciousness is everything, and the physical manifests itself from consciousness and spirit. And so that's a good really good root like understanding to hold in life whenever you are ready to address and face your the balance of your life again. um, Everything is symbolic and everything reflects your spirit, your soul. And so you can disconnect yourself from the attachments of your personas, your physical, your mental attachments, and just sit back in your soul seat for 10 minutes out of the day. That's what meditation is called. And allow your soul seat, the perspective you get through from your soul seat, to guide you in understanding, the reflections in your life that are healthy and that aren't healthy. And then those that you're not so sure, so let's play around with them, right? Like trial and error. Stay healthy. If you're not healthy, get healthy. And only put the bare necessities first as a priority in your life until you get healthy enough so you can actually start serving others and putting others as a sense of priority in your life. Put yourself first. You're not helping anybody if you're just out there slinging help with people and around people when you feel like crap. Number 4, daily chores. We're going on to basically environmental win-win situations, community winning. How to serve others in a healthy way, in win-win situations. Daily chores. Take care of your daily chores. Another thing I'm being somewhat of a hypocrite about because of my own lack of understanding, my own lack of clarity, my own lack of commitment, conviction, and the peace with a few things that have been happening in my life that I've been working through. I've been very kind of disheveled lately, but in the same moment of energetic lowness and sorrow and deep rooted, like I feel like it's another dark night of the soul in a sense that no, that was a confirmation for my body. Another dark, deep rooted trauma that I recognize over certain periods of clarity and a lot of periods in my life. And I really recognized about 7 years ago when I moved out of the house. I just didn't know how to address it because I felt like if I addressed it, then it off, and I have a lot of questions. And if I just ripped that band-aid off and I burnt that bridge in a sense, I was afraid of burning bridges, then I didn't think I would have the opportunity to go back and get closure uh, on a lot of things that I needed closure on. You know, from a very young age, my parents began to not even understand, let alone answer my questions from like as long as I can remember. um, and so those foundational pillars in my life held up the roof, but in a sense, they're kind of hollow on the inside, you know. And so, like, I couldn't go play on the roof. I couldn't go do a lot of things other than just kind of stay small and silent underneath that roof as to not bring it tumbling down. Because at a very young age, both those pillars in my life divorced and they just kind of weren't present from a very young age. So it's very much like, yeah, it gave me the physical foundation, but there's nothing inside. There's no wisdom, there's no guidance, there's no understanding from a very young period in my life. You know, so it's just, yeah, processing that. And thank you for holding that space for me to, you know, this is why I do this. I don't necessarily do this as a form of wanting to teach others. I think that's a scary concept. Like, but I've recognized the healing aspect so far as in giving myself a reflection with myself that I can go back to and rewatch if I need to, when I need to, and just to express and be myself. I can't speak like this with a lot of people in my life because it's just not understood. There's not space or compassion for it. And I need this. This is my daily focus is the healing and understanding of this life, my life, and the reality we live in. Nothing else really dominates my thoughts other than of course, the whole. I love to share this with someone. Um, I love to have a healthy relationship that I can develop good, healthy habits with somebody in my life and break away from the chains and be able to share these magical moments with somebody. But it's not really the point of my journey. It's the point of my journey is learning how to love myself, and I'm doing a pretty good job about that. But I feel like it's just human instinct to yearn for a physical reflection to share everything you find beautiful with, you know? And even, share those hard times with, because that's being able to walk through, not enable, not remain, but to be able to share the experience of walking through one's misery with another individual and growing through it, growing out of it is very beautiful. I find that very beautiful. Um, I really think I covered a lot of the concepts and like mentality over the ramblings of the past 50 minutes, even though I've only covered 4 of the topics. But along with these mentalities, these basic understandings, along with these first 4 topics, I started explaining all the perspective and perceptual understandings and practices, being able to relate and create and break through. Um, the things of just recognizing where I'm at to help you understand where I'm coming from, and also myself. These next 5 topics play in line a lot with that, and I'm going to work on summarizing through them. Daily chores. We went through that one. That was number 4. Daily hugs. Hugs are the most beneficial. Free hugs. This is my sign from like 4 years ago in California. I think that's hilarious. I'm just like, I'm not a drug dealer, I'm a dream dealer. I'm not a drug dealer, I'm a hug dealer. I'm not a drug dealer, I'm a love dealer. Free hugs. Hugging is healthy. It helps the body's immune system. It helps keep you healthier. It cures depression, reduces stress, induces sleep. It's invigorating. It's rejuvenating. It has no unpleasant side effects. Hugging is all natural. It is organic, naturally sweet, no pesticides, no preservatives, no artificial ingredients, and 100% wholesome. Hugging is practically perfect. So, how to serve others every day? Just go out there and get some hugs, bro. Like, everybody needs a hug. And we're electromagnetic beings, so this whole like uh 2020, 21, and 22 crisis was literally designed. The whole 6 feet apart bullshit was literally designed to reduce the frequency of the population to the point of unhealthiness, because hugging helps the immune system. And in a time of crisis and sickness, to not be able to hug your loved ones does the heart a lot of extra unnecessary stress. I don't care how sick you are, come give me a hug. You need a hug? Come give me a hug. I mean, such a simple form of service, yet we've gotten into such a petty status quo and mentality of today's age of, dude, don't touch me, don't steal my energy, ew, gross. Get over yourself. You don't lose any fire by lighting another candle. All you do is lighten the path even more. So, like, grow the fuck up. Get over it. Um, been holding on to that for a while too. Put those. Put those somewhere. But if you haven't tuned into it yet, Silver Wolf Productions is a dream of mine. If you'd like to help me work towards it, I'd really appreciate it. Daily hugs, daily listening. This goes along with daily hugs. I mean, we are trapped in this rat race society concept where we think that time's running out, and so we need to go faster and faster and faster and faster. When we need to realize that we are the essence of time and space. That time and space is literally just a concept we created to help measure things and control things within this experience we call life. Doesn't exist. Time and space doesn't exist. I mean, and in the form that it does exist, that we experience it, it's very malleable, depending on how your brain, how unattached your brain and body are to the concept of time. When you lose track of time and it just flies by, I mean, it just flies by. But most people who have spent their entire lives losing track of time are extremely youthful, even 80 years old. So it's like time doesn't even seem to affect them a whole lot, you know? I wonder why. Because they don't put as much pressure on it, and it doesn't put as much pressure on them. So very simple. Like, take a step back and listen. Daily listening. Like, listen to yourself, listen to your heart. 10 minutes for yourself. Always put yourself first, because if you can't listen to yourself, how are you going to listen to others? Of course, like 5-10 minutes. Listen to yourself every day. Every day. Do a bit of journaling. Like, I don't think I can have enough notebooks at any given period of time sometimes. And other times I'm wondering why I'm constantly writing crap down, but feel like I'm not getting anywhere, doing anything really, except acquiring more and more books to carry around in my supposedly um, minimalist nomadic lifestyle. Like daily listening. You don't know what it really means to anybody that you listen to them. I mean, listening for 5 minutes to someone's concerns and giving them a hug could literally save their lives, and it does every day. I mean, you want to be a modern superhero? Like, screw all that armor bullshit and like tech bullshit and just idolization crap. Like, you want to be a hero? Go out and hug somebody today and like share an ear. That's so simple. I mean, and then if that's not really what you want to do, it's not what you think of what a hero is, then I think you should go reflect, reconsider. Number 7 goes towards like interacting with others. Don't sacrifice for others. And what I mean by this is, don't sacrifice their center for others. Don't, these top 3 to 6 other things, priorities in your life. Don't sacrifice your time or happiness or anything of true value, of peace centeredness within you. Don't sacrifice that for others. You're not helping anybody that way. They're just sabotaging you, and you're enabling them to do so. um yeah, those who you truly wish to serve wouldn't want you to sacrifice yourself for them anyway. So don't sacrifice yourself for others. There's no need to put yourself up on that cross. Jesus already did it. Like, just work on understanding yourself. 8 is kind of the dichotomy of this, is sacrifice for growth. Don't be afraid to sacrifice something you're attached to if it means you're going to grow. Don't be afraid of your growth. Don't be afraid of what comes on the other side. Go to that other side. I'll meet you there. Don't be afraid to sacrifice for healthy growth. It doesn't matter where it's at in your life. You deserve to grow, always. And if there's something holding you back and you're having a hard time letting it go, why not ritualistically let it go? Sacrifice it. Put it out there. Just do anything you can to begin anew, because you can't begin anew unless you let something die. And then number 9, do no harm. How to help others in a win-win situation. Do no harm. That's it. Pay attention to your awareness. And through my awareness, I drank way too much coffee and tea. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless.